Quick check on SPY futures this morning, 36 points weaker for the SPY, so keeping an eye there. That is Saturday morning's close, so we'll see how that plays out for markets here at home. You've already heard him in the background. Peter McGuire now joining us in studio from XM. You couldn't help but comment on the buy now, pay later theme.
Good morning, Ingrid. No, I couldn't. I mean, that's just astounding, and it's been, the whole energy of that particular sector has just been on fire. It's just incredible.
But nothing seems to be giving it up. I mean, we saw PayPal come in and then, we saw a bit of a weakness in the space, a bit of a pullback, but it's back and running.
Let me tell you, low interest rates, and if we keep the Trump administration stays in power, I think you're going to see the Dow at 40,000 by 24. You've got low interest rates that are going to stay for a number of years. And that leads to the next story as far as where Biden plays or the Senate, and there's so many moving parts to that whole equation.
Well, where does Biden play in your view from a macro perspective and even from a market performance perspective?
Okay, first off, Biden, if he gets in power and the Democrats get in power, in the Senate, that means that I think it's open slather on corporate taxes. So I think it's going to hit those big players fairly hard. That seems to be the mood washing across. If Trump loses power, but in the Senate the Republicans stay, then I think it's going to be gridlock. So there'll be nothing happening for a number of years and it'll be just dead. If Trump stays in power and he has power in the Senate and takes on the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, as far as trade wars, then I think it's going to be game on, full metal jacket, and you've got low interest rates. It's going to boom US equities like there's no tomorrow, and you're going to see S&P at 5,000 by 24, if not higher. That's where we're looking, Ingrid.
Just when you think that perhaps the US has had enough and it may have a pullback, you could see that happen. And I guess the question here is, what's the most likely scenario? Look, the polls don't really mean a lot, to be honest, at this point.
No.
What are you hearing, though? I mean, what are we hearing across?
Depends what news service you listen to. We're a long way.
It's always that way, isn't it?
Exactly, and we're a long way from reality here in Australia. We're not sure what's going on the main street as far as Trump.
And you can't even
Biden.
tell the day before at this point. There's so many different variables, particularly in a COVID atmosphere as well. When
you roll that into it.
And
exactly. And what's happening with Eurozone? We thought that was going to really fire up into the autumn and then into winter. Now you're looking at record numbers as far as France and Spain. It's starting to really ratchet up. Boris pulling his hair out. What's he going to do as far as COVID? And you've got the Brexit issues, so that could be an actual turnaround for the US dollar.
Look, this was always going to happen given the European summer and given the need for tourism there and opening up borders. It was always going to happen. I guess the question here is, how much does it impact the economy at this point? Is the market and the economy just getting used to these numbers and going, you know what, it doesn't matter, we're still going to go out, we're still going to go to the beach, we're still going to hang out, spend money, go to dinner in the Eurozone?
Exactly. Yeah, two points on that, and I agree. Does the Swiss, what do they do this week as far as negative 0.75 interest rates? Do they ratchet it down even further? So there's the first part. You've got the PMIs being released, flash PMIs come Wednesday, and you've got manufacturing 51.6, 50.2 for services, and the composite going to 51.6. Really very close to that 50 number as far as expansion or contraction. So is this going to be the next, when that washes over to the end of the year, or even October and November's numbers, that could be I think the firepower to push that euro weaker from here.
So how closely are you watching these flash PMI numbers this week?
Well, Wednesday's a big day for us, so that creates the volatility as far as US dollar index. Our traders are all over US dollar. That's been the glory trade. We think equities have been strong. If you really want to see what, as a market that moves, have a look at the US dollar. Over that March, April, May, June and July period. August was a little bit softer, and it's been very range bound over September. But now we're into the next phase. Does gold take a next leg up from here, or what happens as far as the polls and the election? There's so many. The next 5 weeks could be very, from a volatility play, incredible volatility across many of the markets. Crude was up 10% last 3-4 days.
Well, I was just going to ask you about that, commodities and oil in particular, and copper as well. Dr. Copper, a bit of a barometer. Well, traditionally.
And crude.
So what are you watching here? Because there is, as you said, so much volatility expected in the next 5 weeks. It's hard to pick which direction these commodities are going to go in.
Well, think of oil. This time last week, we're up 10%. So that's been a huge move to the upside. And I think there's even further push up. You've got the hurricane season in the States is going to be one of the worst on record. So there's the Mother Nature impact to the market. Then you've got what OPEC's doing. We've got the dollar all over the shop, still in that 93 range bound as far as US dollar index. And then you're saying, well, is crude undersold? Is there more push up? And I think there probably is for another 5 or 8%.
How do you trade it then? I mean,
you trade it by having multiple screens on a table, and I don't mean that stupidly, and you've got to be engaged.
Yeah.
That's how traders are trading this. The retail sector is all over it, and they're not just, I'll put a position on and go for a walk.
Fundamentals, technicals.
And seasonality.
Yeah.
You've got to look at the seasonality from Mother Nature or religious festivals or what's happening, hurricanes as I mentioned.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at the technicals. Is it oversold or is it overbought? Then you're looking at moving averages, and then you look at the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are what's Trump saying, what's OPEC saying, what are the key drivers as far as US dollar, and all of these impacts greatly swing a market.
So much to watch.
You bet.
Over the next few weeks, we'll look forward to talking to you as it all happens. Peter, thank you for joining us on the program to kick the week off.
Thanks, Ingrid.